Do you know how it works when you taste something? It's interesting. I don't know the exact chemical process that happens, but basically you got these little sensors on your tongue, and when food, or if you're testing that your transmission fluid is burnt or not, touches your tongue, a little chemical signal happens and you go, yeah, sometimes you taste your transmission fluid. I saw a couple looks there. It's one way to do it. Anyway, it sends a chemical signal to your brain and says, ooh, that's sweet, or that's bitter, or that's burnt transmission fluid. But you get the idea there, how that happens. Now, what's interesting is that the exact same process happens with slight variations when you smell something. So, what happens is in order for you to smell something, that something has to be touching sensors inside your nose. So when you walk into our house and somebody has fired up the eucalyptus oil in the diffuser and you smell it, that's because some eucalyptus oil has landed on the sensors inside your nose, and you go, oh, eucalyptus, if you know what eucalyptus smells like. Or, around the time, you get dinners ready, and we had tacos tonight. I smell tacos. Why? Because there's taco in my nose. That's how that works. Particles of taco in my nose, and that's how I can smell tacos. You walk into a barn and you smell, you get where I'm going here? Anything you smell has gone inside of you. It's at least here. And even worse than that, just to give you an idea of this, or even good, taco means if you've smelled it, you've breathed it in, it's gone past those sensors and now has gone into your lungs, right? So that eucalyptus oil, there's a little in there now. That tacos, there's a little in there now. Good barbecue, there's a little in there now, right? Cow in barn, there's a little in there now. Where am I going with all this? As we look at this, and you think about that, all the things that we go through and we smell throughout a day, those things, if we can smell it, it's in us. It's part of us now. We're processing it somehow. As we go through, as it goes into the lungs, it gets processed into the rest of the body and just becomes part of us. So look at 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 33. Do not be deceived. Bad company ruins good morals. The King James Version uses communications and manners. So what he's talking about, that's unfriendly, or that's, let's call it unrighteous. We can go into an unrighteous situation and we're totally unaffected by it. It doesn't bother me to be around all of these people who are doing whatever. It doesn't bother me to be around all these people who are talking like this, and it really doesn't bother me or affect me to be around people. Just fill the blanks in, right? But here's the problem. He tells us, don't be deceived. Don't lie to ourselves. Bad company ruins good morals. The things that we're around eventually do become part of us. Again, you walk into my kitchen right now, it probably still smells like tacos, and you're going to process some of the tacos we had for dinner. Because you're going to smell it, it's going to be part of you, it will become part of your body because it will be processed into that. And the same thing happens with bad company, with bad communications, evil communications that are used in the King James. When we're around those things, we lie to ourselves. We say it doesn't affect me, it doesn't bother me. When in fact, Paul here tells the Corinthians, stop lying to yourself. It affects you. It affects you. His point there is, wake up from your drunken stupor, as is right, and do not go on sinning. He says there, he continues that thought, for some have no knowledge of God. I say this to your shame. Wake up. Don't do these things. Don't be around these things. Wake up for your drunken stupor, because that's right, and don't go on sinning. The things that we are around become a part of us. We recognize, and I recognize this as I go into work, and there are a few people there who, they would fit in really well with World War II sailors. That's just how they would be great friends. My boss can't go, I would guess, no more than about 3 sentences without dropping a few F-bombs. That's just, now, and the problem is that I got to talk to him a lot. And it desensitizes me to it. And I catch myself almost saying it. I catch myself almost saying these things. When I go out and you can hang out with people who do these things, and it desensitizes us to this thing, and then suddenly we're almost doing that thing. And what happens if you're almost doing something as you go long enough and you just Start doing that thing. And so where Paul reminds them, don't lie to yourselves. Bad company ruins good morals, which means we have to watch out what we're smelling. Watch out for what we're taking into ourselves, what we're soaking in around us. Matter of fact, there are so many things we actually soak in through our skin, just that can affect us. What's the fentanyl issue that we've got going on here? You just get some of that on your skin, you're affected by it. But we take in and we lie to ourselves all the time with that. No, it doesn't affect me. And so the point he's making here is don't lie to yourself. Stay away from those things. Even small amounts, they're deadly. Even small amounts. Anybody, I totally forgot the chemical. And I'm going to not remember it. But the idea is there's actually a chemical. It's interesting. If you can smell it, you're dead. 15 parts per million is all it takes to kill you. And I wish I could remember it. I totally just blanked on it now. 15 parts per million in the air will kill you. If you can smell it, you're dead. Sin is that way, isn't it? Only it smells really sweet, and it smells really inviting, and it lies to us, and it says, you can have a taste of this. You can have a smell. You can be around this. But remember what Paul says, and we'll repeat this again. Don't lie to yourself. Don't be deceived. Stay away from those things. And so that's really the kind of thing to look at. If we're one for making New Year's resolutions, make one. That's fine. I'm all good for that if you're one for making those. If you're not, hey, how about tonight as just a new resolution to be a little different than the world and stay away from the world. Stay away from the things that smell so sweet but are so damaging. Because remember, if we're around it, it's becoming part of us. If we're involved anywhere near to the side of it, it's becoming part of us. It's affecting us. Bad company ruins good morals. Evil communications ruins good manners. So after a time, we're just going to start doing those things because we've let it soak into us and it becomes normal to us. And we could get all into that if we want to. But the idea is, remember, if you smell it, it's part of you. If you're around it, it's becoming part of you. If you're in it, you're just soaking it up. And eventually, we won't be able to tell ourselves apart from those that we think aren't affecting us. So remember, we don't lie to ourselves because certainly we can't lie to God about it one day and say, it didn't affect me, because God, through Paul here, tells us, yeah, it did. He tells us right there very plainly, and I'll repeat it just because it bears repeating. Do not be deceived. Bad company ruins good morals. Stay out of the barn, guys. It becomes part of you. Stay with the good things. Stay with the people that are doing good things. Stay with Christians. Stay with the gospel. Breathe that in. Eat that. Just take it in constantly and make that part of you, because something is becoming part of you all the time. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it good communications? Is it evil communications? Is it good company? Is it bad company? Certainly we can't lie to ourselves about it. Let's make sure that we're taking in the things that we should be taking in. Righteousness, faith, truth, love, all of those things that are laid out for us as the virtues of righteousness, the virtues of the Spirit that we should be having. So, again, take a look. What are we breathing in? Make sure it's the right stuff. Make sure it's the right things. Remember, it's not always the sweet-smelling stuff that's good for us. As I recall, and I've heard and read accounts about, 15 parts per million smells really sweet, and you're dead afterwards. I'll look that up and try to remember that later for you. But the idea is here is if we're not avoiding the things we should be avoiding, well, certainly we need to make a correction. We need to make a correction because we're veering off the path. And isn't tonight a wonderful time to make that correction? Whether we're making the correction for the very first time and coming to Christ through baptism, through being buried with him to rise up a new person, or whether we've just messed up after we've done that and we need to fix some things. Well, we can fix that. And that's what we're here for. It's our job, it's our duty, it's our privilege to help you in whatever way that we can, if you just let us know while we stand and sing.